What's the worst houseguest experience you've had? My aunt came to visit for what was supposed to be a week or two and didn't leave for almost a year. When I was a kid, she redecorated my room and even put up pictures of herself. Now the running joke in my family is to randomly leave pictures of yourself around the house when we visit people. My uncle was supposed to fly on a trip, so he was going to stay for a couple days. Instead he went like muck this crap and spent the whole summer with us. LMAO, that's so funny. Reminds me of a guy I used to work with who used to take pictures of himself and his family to LAKEY over along while he put them in the frames in all the displays. Nearly pissed myself when I went one day and spotted a pic of him on a beach somewhere in a bedroom display. Even put up pictures of herself. This is hilarious. It reminds me of the Dave Chappelle skit where the cops accuse a black man of breaking into a home and putting up pictures of his own family. The joke is that it's really his house. My dad had a cousin who did this exact same thing. Supposed to be a couple weeks or so. Went on for a year. Hung her family pics in the hallway. And not even with a nail, but huge screws. My dad was too nice to ask her to leave, so it was up to my grandfather and I. She passive aggressively hung them up. I took them down and put them in her bed in the same passive aggressive fashion. She got so pissed that she finally moved out, but wrote my dad hate-filled threatening letters for a couple of years. She thought they were going to get married, literally said so in the letters. They were first cousins. She was so nuts. I pictured Aunt Gail from Bob's Burgers while reading this. How did your parents get her out? He cranked my dad's speakers up to the maximum and blew them. They were from the 70s, so impossible to replace or repair. Then he clogged our toilet, grabbed a bunch of grandma's quilts to sop up the water. He then tried to stop the water by violently shacking the tank, cracking the bowl, and dislodging it from its base. In a panic he tried to bolt from the house. His wet feet slipped on the wood floor and he crashed into a wall, leaving a nice body-sized impression. That's how my brother's friends was barred from the house. How old was this guy? How do people like this even survive in the world? This reminds me of an ex-friend of mine. Our toilet has clogged up, and I had just finished mopping and cleaning up the crafty mess. He comes over and I'm like, don't use that toilet. It's stuck and will overflow. I go out to have a cigarette and my nephew runs to me and tells me my friend just flushed the toilet and water is overflowing again. I rush in too fast, slip and fall flat on my face. I ask him later why did he flush. When I told him not to, he said I wanted to check if you were serious. Didn't talk to him for weeks after that, but never let him live it down either. What cartoon do you live in? My uncle and his wife came to stay for a while. They got my room, and I slept on the couch for a few months. NBD when you're a kid, I guess. What actually ticked me off is that when they finally left we found out that they'd seriously messed up my room. Everything reeked of cigarettes. There were ground up peanut shells in the carpet, cigarette burns on my mattress, etc. And we couldn't figure out why the room smelled like death until we lifted up the bed and found mummified cat poop stuck up in the shag carpeting. They either had such bad hygiene that they didn't notice the smell or they knew and they just didn't care. Edit. To everyone asking how we didn't notice the cigarette smell. My guess is that they only smoked in the room during the day. When everyone was out, probably smoked out the window. My parents weren't smokers. We just figured the smell was coming from their bodies, which we couldn't do anything about. Plot twist, they were on meth. I had ex-friends crash in my spare room for a bit to get on their feet. Left the room absolutely nasty, but the worst thing was finding a dried cat turd mashed in the carpet under a bookshelf. Thing is, it would have been physically impossible for the cat to get under the shelf to poop there, which means they found a mess from their animal and just put my bookshelf on top of it rather than clean it up. Bruh, I love my brother and happy to help if he ever fell on hard times. But if he ever showed up to my house with his wife and expected me to make my kid sleep on the couch for a few months, I'd knock his ass out. I'm guessing your dad/mom and uncle had a different relationship? Plot twist, they didn't even have a cat. They had to buy dried cat poop off Amazon. Housemate had people come over, order a pizza, decide they didn't want it, and refuse to answer the door, so they didn't have to pay. At 4 AM, pizza guy could hear them through the door, so kept knocking louder and louder. I eventually went to the door and opened it. then explained to the pizza guy what was going on so that they didn't blacklist the property and forced them to pay. As they were packing to leave the next day, I noticed them trying to take some of my extra PS4 controllers by sneaking them into their bag. I'm normally an introvert, but already being cranky from no sleep, I lost my deuce at that point. Called them a disgusting thief and told them to go. Controllers are expensive, muck those hoes. What kind of psychopath changes their mind about pizza? Unfortunately, if they were going to take your controllers, you may have been missing other things. Shortly after, I caught a house guest taking a game cartridge and sneaking it into his pocket. I kicked him out. Then a week later, I noticed my collectible trading cards were missing. Someone rearranged my comic book collection and a couple was missing. I had an extensive collection of toys on a shelf, some wrapped, and there are missing spots here and there. I know they're missing, but can't tell what. As a young teen with limited resources, it hurt. I stopped inviting any guests over unless they were childhood friends or someone I knew for years and years. All local pizza places near me only do prepay after midnight to prevent the drunks ordering without checking they have cash first. Yeah man, I hope you're never introverted to the point where you say nothing when people try to steal your controllers. Your normal reaction should be that you don't have to justify it by saying you were tired. I could wake up in the best mood ever and it'd still tear someone a new one for trying to steal from me. That would be the girl visiting my sister-in-law who decided it would be funny to repeatedly prank call 911. I got a very angry call from the local police station saying we either stopped or they'd be sending a squad car over. Apologized profusely to the officer and thanked him for calling us first. She was not invited back to her house. She was 17 and definitely old enough to know better. Isn't abuse of 911 an actual crime? Who was the girl? Like, a friend of your cell's daughter? My ex-wife's friend had her car break down, and our apartment was right on a bus route to her job. She was supposed to stay over for a week while she got her car fixed. After 2 months and a lot of warning, we packed her bags for her and put them by the door. How long did she crash on the porch? Sister-in-law house sat. When we were out of town, there were tons of disrespectful presents left for us. A cookie crumb trail of condom wrappers, which lead to an actual used condom, like WTF. But the worst was after cleaning all that up, which was just aggravating and stupid. There was a putrid smell I couldn't put my finger on. Until I finally opened a drawer in the dresser in the guest room. She had left a tequila container in there. Half an omelette that had gone rancid. I gotta hope she just had to go quick and forgot all that crap was there when she left. Either way, we took our key back from her. It's so interesting to see some people's habits. Yikes. Trail of condom wrappers follow the yellow dick road. My dad owned a business his whole life and was in the process of hiring new installers. One applicant came in from out of town and my dad, being the kind man he was, offered for him to stay in our home. When the morning came, the man went to take a shower. My parents heard the water turn on and it stayed on for a really long time. After an hour and a half of running water, my mom made my dad go check on him. My dad went upstairs, picked the lock on the bathroom door, and found blood and a limp body on the floor next to the running shower. The man had overdosed, lost consciousness, hit his head on the shower side, and died. He was dead, right there on the bathroom floor that I used for 10 years. One thing is for sure, he won't be coming back to our house again. This one caught me off guard, lol. He killed the interview, didn't he? TBF. Might be coming back into the house again. Wife's cousin stayed a couple days with us. After he left, I discovered he purchased about 60 worth of porn on Directive. Who are these monsters who pay for porn? Especially on TV, let alone some owns other than this. Just jerking it in the living room in the afternoon while everyone pretends the world isn't burning down around them. Instead of asking where the toilet paper is, they let their kid wipe his ass with our guest towels. Was there extra toilet paper in the bathroom? Or were they too lazy to look? I would yell at someone, along with them taking said towel with them. Ran into a guy I used to call a friend and let him stay with me for a while as he was down on his luck. I guess Wed ran out of toilet paper, so he used a washcloth and left it at the side of the toilet. Kicked him out and found out later he walked away with some of my CDs. Some mutual friends let him stay. Against my advice, they came home one day to find him passed out on the couch with his pants around his ankles. After they kicked him out, they found out he'd racked up 900 in phone intercourse charges. Frick you, Noel. You always were and always will be a piece of crap. They came home one day to find him passed out on the couch with his pants around his ankles. After they kicked him out, they found out he'd racked up 900 in phone intercourse charges. Damn, dude was jerking off to a phone intercourse line. What year was this, Noel? That guy was doomed from the start. We had a house sitter once who wanted to bring their own dog for the week. They assured us the dog was well behaved and house trained. This was a pretty close friend, and their house is nice and clean, so we believed them. Came home to find every rug in our house destroyed. The house smelled funky when we walked in, and I immediately found wet spots on our living room rug. Lifted it up, and it had more stained areas than not. Same with the kitchen, hallway, bedroom, and guest room rugs. I'm guessing this dog didn't pee outside a single time it was there. This was someone we paid to watch our house. Edit, to answer some common questions. Their house was all hardwood and had a dog door. I guess the dog just let itself out. Or maybe it does pee inside and they clean it up. Maybe the dog was freaked out in a new place. I honestly have no idea. I didn't confront them. We had a lot going on at that point in our lives and just felt it was best to silently sever the relationship and learn an expensive lesson. We were planning a cross-state move and a wedding. All our small rugs went through the wash. The living room rug went right into the dumpster. It was so bad. We tried to clean the bed office rug, but it ended up trashed too. We replaced the living room rug fairly cheaply. They tried to blame it on my dog and kind of acted like they hadn't noticed, which I do not for 1 second believe either part of. My dog has had 2 accidents since we got her 6 years ago. Once the first day, and once when she was recovering from anesthesia. She has a bladder of steel and weighs 15 pounds. This other dog was a solidly 75-pound lab mix, based on the sizes of the stains. It was not the 15-pounder. Weirdly, there was no evidence of poop in the house, so I really don't know what was going on. No, it does not appear that they made any attempt to clean up the mess. The rug downstairs was literally dripping wet. We paid via Venmo before we got home. Yes, I'm a spineless wimp. No major justice boner to be found here. They assured us the dog was well behaved and house trained, which they apparently thought meant trained to pee in the house. I had a similar incident with a paid sitter. Our dog Walker, of 5 years, was squatting at our place every time we left town. These were 4 to 5 day trips once a month. At some point in year 3 she excitedly declares she can do stayovers for extra 25/day instead of twice a day visits for potty and feeding. I happily paid her that extra. Like a fool. We never found out she'd been there all along. Until when COVID hit and we went on lockdown. We were living in a high-rise loft with increasing positive cases and shared ventilation. My husband got spooked, so we went to an Airbnb out of town for the rest of lockdown. Turns out, she was staying at a loft the whole time. She had the front desk believing she was house sitting. She had a key. They knew she was the dog walker, so it raised no eyebrows. I dropped by to check on things unannounced, and she had flat out moved in. Clothes in closets. Toiletries organized in drawers. Pantry filled with her staples. The whole shebang. Not my experience, but my mom's. One of my dad's younger cousin moved into my parents' newlywed house to stay with them until he finds some other arrangements for him. My dad's a pushover and mom's an introvert. He ended up making my parents move out of their bedroom to other room as he needed it for his studies. That pose uncle had his friends over every other weekend. Even though my older brother was born, he did not move out, and then my dad's younger brother died, which gave him another reason to stay with them. Dad was living a soulless life for a few months after that. Then after 4 years I was born. And boy oh boy, the baby me was a crier. According to my brother, if my uncle was even within 10 feet of me, I would cry. If I heard his voice, I would cry. Then he finally left the house and has never been in our lives again. I guess him a blessing. Edit. IDKY, you guys assumed him a male. Clearing it out. I'm female. Thank you. Surely this is a joke. Your parents moved out of their bedroom The hatred of him was felt in the womb, and you got the uneasy vibes from him when you were born. Epic. My old roommate told me she had a friend who had fallen on rough times and needed a spot to crash for a while. No worries. I told her. Whoop. Big worries. He was a professional beatboxer. But more that he was a professional smoker. Like, I'm fine with weed generally. But this dude was on 12 to 15 blunts a day. And would roll one as soon as he rolled his tighty witty clad ass off of our couch. So for like 4 months, as soon as I woke up, it was nothing but clouds of white owl and brrrrmmchkchk fracafracachcabram. He didn't fall on rough times. He was a rough time. brrrrmmchkchk fracafracachcabram. I've never seen beatboxing spelled out before, and I never want to again. This is the pinnacle. My friend asked if her brother, who had never met, could crash on my couch for the night. Her boyfriend won't let him stay with them. My roommate and I agreed, just for the night. Then the next night, he got in a fight with the person he was supposed to stay with and had to crash on my couch again. Stuff like that kept happening. Then he just stopped trying to find somewhere else to stay and started taking our spare key, staying out till I went to bed, and then coming in and crashing on the couch. His phone was off, so I could never reach him when he was out unless he was connected to Wi-Fi. He got a job at a tattoo parlor and would brag about how much money he made, but never contributed or saved the money to move out. He blew it all on weed. I seriously don't know how someone could spend that much on weed. He was there for almost 2 months before he lied and snuck in a girl he'd met in rehab who had felony arrest warrants out for her and said I didn't want her in the apt. And I caught them sneaking out the next morning 5 minutes before my alarm was to go off. I got upset with him and said it was not okay to lie to me and hide things from me. He freaked out and made up a bunch of stuff that he told my roommate and my friend his sister. Said I called him a useless junkie, etc. I've had a lot of friends struggle with addiction. I'd never ever say something like that. After having my roommate scream at me over the lies the guy told I was done, he wasn't allowed back. It was a good thing I made him leave. Turns out he was slipping back into old habits. The next person who let him stay with them got robbed. Has been in and out of jail. My friend asked if I could help put money on his commissary thing. I hope the guy eventually gets cleaned up. But it's not my mess. Couple came for a weekend to my small apartment. Surprised that they brought 3 dogs and an extra friend. The puppy took a dump on my floor in the night, which nobody got up to clean. Another dog had a crate, but managed to get a hold of a carpet outside of the crate, drag it in, and shred it. They also chewed up cardboard and wooden furniture. When they left, all the shredded stuff was just where it fell. Some people should not be pet owners. I was on my honeymoon with my husband, and we let his dad stay at our house, but said he had to be out by the time we got back. We let him know when we were on our way home and expected him to be gone. We get back. He was gone, but had not gotten his stuff out of the house. On top of that, he trashed the place like a group of teenagers. Empty pizza boxes and trash laying around. He came back and stayed around for a bit and asked me if I was mad at him. Like, of course I'm mad. What do you expect? Bye. Are you mad at me? I assume you mean to apologize for your behavior. So how about we try that again? My brother-in-law stayed at our house while we were on our honeymoon. He had a girl over that he just met, and they had intercourse in our bed and didn't change the sheets. They drank all of the alcohol in the house, including a special bottle of champagne that had been a wedding gift. I'm sorry about your fill. What are some people thinking? My mom's cousin and her husband went for a short visit to our house. She was 5 months pregnant then. She and her husband didn't leave until the baby was 2 months old. Then when leaving, it's a pity we could only pay you a short visit. We'd have loved to stay a bit more, but Jim is starting college tomorrow. She stole all of my booze, pissed on my couch, tore up the flower bed to the side of my driveway, and destroyed my guest bathroom. This all happened after I'd fallen asleep. She was a guest of a tenant/roommate, and that roommate was told either her friend wasn't allowed over ever again, or she'd have to find a new place to live. Literally thought this was going to be about a dog. I had surgery and was on bed rest for a week. I asked my cousin, who was living with me at the time, to keep an eye on me as I was on heavy painkillers. I stayed on the couch and let her use my bedroom. When I recovered, I found used weave piled up on clean towels in the bathroom cabinet, a douche nozzle behind my nightstand, trash piled all the way up the wall in the kitchen, dirty dishes everywhere, a plate of rancid food in the microwave, ketchup and mustard smeared on the floors. And she had stolen a bunch of clothing and CDs, along with one of my iPhone chargers. She had a Windows phone and she poked a hole in my 2500 sleep number bed. I kicked her ass out immediately. Edit. Why I gave her the bed and took the couch. The couch was like 2 steps from the bathroom. And by giving her the bedroom I thought I was ensuring that she would have no reason not to do this one simple task, because she would have to pass by the couch to go to the kitchen or the bathroom. Edit. Explain douche nozzle. A douche is a feminine hygiene product that many women use to control vaginal odor. The bag contains the product, and the nozzle is inserted into the vagina. When you squeeze the bag, the product is pushed out of the nozzle and it rinses the vagina. I don't understand how a family member of someone thinks what they're doing is fine. Have you had any contact with them since? The beginning stuff is disgusting but cosmetic. Totally understandable to kick her out for that alone. But to ruin your 2500 mattress, that's unforgivable. She poked a hole in my 2500 sleep number bed. Why/how?